Hi! Welcome to Luxury in Moderation, where we appreciate the finer things in life without going overboard. If you're new here, my name's Joanne, and every week I upload videos about luxury handbags and other luxury lifestyle products. And today I want to talk about some luxury items that I am so glad that I did not buy. So most of these are going to be bags, but there is one shoe mentioned. And these items were luxury pieces that I seriously considered. So not just a fleeting thought for like a day or a month, but I thought about them for like 6 months, a year, and for whatever reason, I just wasn't able to buy it, or I was saving up for it. And now looking back, I am actually really glad that I didn't buy them, and I actually wasn't able to buy them when I had wanted them. And I'd like to share with you why, and why sometimes waiting is actually a really good idea. The very first bag that I very seriously considered for a long time was the Balenciaga City bag. So this was a bag that I was obsessed with like the year that I graduated from college. I think it was pretty popular then. A lot of girls that I knew had it, and I was like, I'm gonna get a real job now and I'm gonna be able to save some money and buy that bag. I noticed it anytime I could on the subway or in people's pictures. I thought it looked very cool. It was different than the bags that I had known up until then. And Balenciaga was a brand that I did not know much about. This name just sounded really cool to me, and it still does. When I say the word Balenciaga, it just sounds so like eloquent, and it's that language, and it's just very foreign and cool. And I also thought the City bag, it had that edgy vibe with the studs. Then they came out with the big studded version, and like at first I was like, oh, that's like way too big, but then like it grew on me the more I looked at it. And I thought at that point in my life that I could be cool like that, and so I dreamed about the day that I could pick one up. Well, I never did. And now, after learning more about the luxury space and about luxury brands, I feel like, first of all, the Balenciaga City bag is not as mentioned as it was. So, it was probably a little bit, trendy, and now it's just kind of lost that. I'm sure it'll be back at some point. They still make it. It's still a very well-known piece and classic to Balenciaga. But I also feel like, other brands have come to the forefront recently, and Balenciaga is mentioned less. I also feel like the City bag is probably a little bit too small for my liking. The City bag is just very, very thin. So, you can't really put anything big and bulky in it like a water bottle. And yet, because it is such a, cool bag, it's more on the casual side and not really like an evening bag or like a fancy bag that is usually smaller when you don't take as much stuff. So now I feel like that bag probably would have been a bag that I regret buying, and I feel like I still admire the bag, and I definitely still want to own something from Balenciaga just because like I could say that word more and it's just so beautiful. But I think I'll have to do a little more thinking about that, and I'm glad I didn't spend my money on that bag just yet. So the next item is also a bag, and it would be the Celine Belt bag. So I thought about the Celine Belt bag probably about 3 years ago, and I love the silhouette. I think it is so elegant with the lines in front. It's not very flashy. I think the leather looks very beautiful. But now actually, after, being in the luxury community, watching videos about people who have it and seeing more reviews, I'm very glad that I did not buy it, and I probably will not ever buy it. The first reason is I have discovered I am not a person who loves flat bags. I think it's a little bit cumbersome to get in and out of, and so I don't prefer that opening method, which this belt bag does have. And even more cumbersome is you're supposed to put the flap underneath that front like belt leather. So, you know, you kind of have to stuff it in and, you know, put it in between the leather. And if not, you know, you could always leave it open, but it's just not as secure and it doesn't have that look. You can't actually see the belt part of the belt bag. So I think I would not have wanted that bag just for the opening. In addition to that, I now know that the two leather pieces that hang down off of the bag, they are actually pretty stiff. And that's not something that I think looks elegant or beautiful. They come kind of bent and curved because, you know, when Celine ships these bags or when they're stored, those pieces are actually curved so they can fit in nicely with the bag. And so when it's a brand new bag, those leather pieces just, you know, kind of curve oddly. And I feel like that takes away from the luxurious look and feel of the bag. I feel that makes it a little bit less elegant. You know, probably over time the leather does soften and, you know, it's more supple and it moves as the bag moves. But you probably have to wear the bag for a couple years for it to get to that point. And I'm pretty sure I am not going to ever purchase the belt bag now. Moving on to a non-bag piece, I am very glad I never purchased a pair of Louboutin heels. So I've talked about before how I love shoes. And when I heard about the Louboutin brand, I actually had no idea what it was. I actually thought like, oh, did you mean to say Louis Vuitton and you're, you know, mispronouncing it? But then I looked into it more. They became hugely popular. Everybody seemed to have one or want one. And I just really wanted to own a pair as well and be as, you know, as fancy as everyone else. So come to learn now, I really hate heels. I feel so uncomfortable in them. So I'm still obsessed with a gorgeous pair of shoes. I just know that I, you know, don't wear heels very well. And I learned that Louboutin heels, you know, they're not made for comfort. You know, they're made to stand out. They're made to be sexy. The designer, he wanted women to look hot when they wore his shoes. So that was the point of the shoes. It wasn't necessarily thinking about, you know, the comfort of the person or the feet inside the shoe. So I just, you know, already knowing how uncomfortable I feel in regular heels, there is probably no way I could walk in a Louboutin heel. So I'm glad I never spent the money on them. And I know now, you know, I really don't spend much on heels anyways, nothing over like 2 inches. So glad I could not afford them when they were hugely popular and I didn't have to go through that experience. Okay, so going back to bags. Another bag that I really seriously considered when it first came out was the Chanel Gabrielle bag. And the reason why I really considered it was because I wanted something from Chanel, but at this point, I hadn't gotten my Chanel Classic flaps yet. The boy bag was out, but I didn't think I could pull it off. And I was like, well, this Gabrielle is the new piece that they are trying to make, you know, a classic Chanel. They're really pushing it. So I definitely fell right into that marketing message of like, hey, this is going to be one of our classic pieces. It has all the elements of a classic Chanel piece, but it was a little bit different. And if you know me and you've watched this channel, you'll know I like being a little bit different. I kind of always knew I didn't want to have the black Chanel classic flap like everybody else did. So I always kept it in the back of my head. I always thought that I would purchase one. I looked at them anytime a new collection came out and thought, you know, is this the right color? Is this the right size? Then they came out with the new medium size, which was great. So sometimes it really is good to wait a few seasons or a couple years before you get that bag that you have your eye on, because they could come out with a different size, based off of feedback, based off of people who bought the original offering and realized it was too big or too small. The company is trying to please its customers, so you don't have to be the guinea pig if you wait a little bit and wait until the company has refined that product a little bit more. So that was great to see that they came out with what I consider is like the Goldilocks size, like the perfect size, not too big, not too small. But then I went shopping with my fiance, and he was like, I really don't like the look of that bag. And that kind of helped tip the scale in the way of me not lusting after the bag anymore. Not to say that I am completely influenced by him or anyone else's opinions. I usually, know what I like and I don't like being influenced. But for the Chanel Gabrielle, I was on the fence. At that point, I hadn't found, the perfect one that I thought, was the right color, was the right material, would sit right on me. And, his comment, it just really helped me realize that, maybe this bag is not for me and I don't have to keep an eye on it anymore. I kind of agreed with him that the leather piece on the bottom, it just, it's very smooth and some people love that, but it just looked a little bit odd to me juxtaposed to that quilted part on top. So, it kind of helped me realize that, maybe the reason why I hadn't pulled the trigger yet was because I always thought that it looked a little bit strange, and, maybe I can just cross that off my list and not have to think about it again. And now the final bag I am very glad I did not purchase yet is the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. So I've talked on my channel many times how I have been thinking and been daydreaming about a Louis Vuitton Neverfull in the Damier Azur. Everybody raves about the Neverfull, so I, feel like, is this something that I need to have? Me being a lover of tote bags, it is a beautiful silhouette. I think it looks functional. I had also been keeping an eye on the epi leather versions because I do want something in epi leather, and they had like a darker pink fuchsia color, and they also had a light pink ballerina color in the Neverfull. And I was trying to search for those, but they didn't have them in store, and I think they discontinued some of the colors, or like it comes back intermittently. So I haven't been able to try that on yet. Well, very recently, they came out with the Empreinte leather version of the Neverfull, and I am very happy to see that they are putting out more variations and variety in the Neverfull shape. And that goes back to what I was saying about the Chanel Gabrielle sizes, where up until now, the Neverfull has come out in the canvas, all three canvases. It has come out in epi leather, definitely used it for limited edition collections. But they haven't really come out with it in more materials other than those. And if I had bought a Neverfull already, then I probably would have felt like, oh, why didn't I wait to see if they came out with new materials in it, new colors that I wanted. So now that I know that they are going to come out with new stuff, new materials, new colors in the Neverfull, I know I can wait until I am completely satisfied and would be so happy with my decision of which Neverfull, because I wouldn't want to buy two Neverfulls. If I was ever to get one, I would want that to just be the one that I am happy with. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful too in letting you guys know, you really don't have to buy anything immediately, whether it's, within 6 months or even a year. Most of these brands are going to keep making the bags for at least, 5 to 6 years. They're not just going to put the bag out one season and that's it. So it's great to just pace yourself and not feeling like you're missing out. So definitely no FOMO feelings here. And let me know about the pieces that I talked about today if you have any experience with them. I'm still really curious about hearing and learning more about them. And if you like this video, please like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any more tips in my future videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!